So we're doing the video for YouTube. Here we go. It's the Mike Tech Show, show number 776. Hello, everybody. Welcome to the podcast. I'm your host, Mike Smith. Thank you very much for downloading and subscribing to the show. Please visit the main website at miketechshow.com. You can email me suggestions and questions for show topics at miketechshow@gmail.com. Leave me a voicemail message on Skype. Haven't had many voicemail messages. You gotta use the one word Mike Tech Show on Skype, record a voicemail, send it to me. I'll get it on the air. Follow me on Twitter, twitter.com/Mike Tech Show, and also facebook.com/Mike Tech Show. This show is brought to you by Instant House Call, robust remote support for IT pros and MSPs, providing unattended and on-demand remote access. Try it free by clicking on the link on my website at miketechshow.com or go directly to instanthousecall.com. And remember to use the promo code MikeTechShow for your free 15-day trial. I have a great show lined up. Going to talk about my experience getting my first vaccination shot. I got the Pfizer shot, and the second one will be April 8th, all scheduled. I want to talk about that, and I want to talk about the technology behind getting registered for that and how CVS used the smartphone. Going to talk about the Windows 10 March update that we had to uninstall to stop that blue screen of death when you go to print. I have a video I'm going to link from a listener, from Doug, who has a YouTube channel, did a great job on Microsoft's fix. So going to talk about that. Then yesterday, big day. I'm going to talk about a day in my life supporting clients. I had to help 10 clients yesterday on all kinds of problems. Going to deep dive into all of them. Some of them are very easy fixes, some not so easy. So let's begin. Last week, or actually for a couple weeks, the governor of Florida announced that March 15th would begin lowering the age to 60 years old to be able to get vaccinated. I happen to be 60. So on Sunday, I'm like, let me see if CVS, because I'm surrounded by CVS's. I go online and I'm going to have the CVS link for all the different states. And that's going to be the first link in the show notes tonight. I clicked, I linked, I put my area, Pinellas County, and then picked the closest CVS that had appointments available this week. And so I picked one that was just in Clearwater, 10-minute drive. And I was able to pick any time. So I picked Tuesday at noon. I picked that, and then I had to fill out all the information. My group insurance, who's it insured with? Is it me? Is it my spouse? All of the details. My address. Everything that they asked, a ton of questions, and you just fill them out, answer them. I answered everything honestly and just went through everything, and it was set. I was scheduled. And then it even set, I had to pick the date for the vaccine number 2. And I was like, oh, for the second shot. I was like, this is great. So I picked that. Everything was good. I got my email. I got a text message, because you have to have a smartphone, and here's why. You go 15 minutes before your start time, not a minute earlier. It is so a well-oiled machine. It is so organized, CVS. At 15 minutes, because I went a little early because I thought, oh, there's going to be lines. No. They schedule 3 people every 15 minutes. So you can't technically register when you click that you're here. The button is grayed out until exactly 15 minutes before your appointment. So at 11:45 a.m., I was able to click. That's it. Now I can go to line. The line doesn't mean anything because once you check in and you got your appointment time, they come over and they ask, Mr. Smith here, so they call you, they bring you up. Now, this was the thing that kind of bothered me. They didn't even ask for an ID because I confirmed during the setup that this was my cell phone and this is the info. And I also think, and I don't know if this played into it, and maybe it did, but I didn't see them ask anybody for any kind of an ID because that was your ID. It was your cell phone. There was someone in line that did not have their cell phone because their husband did it. Now you got a problem. They had to go up to the pharmacy. I didn't see them again. She might not have been able to get vaccinated. You have to have the smartphone with you when you're going into CVS. So that's going to eliminate a part of the population in being able to go get the vaccine. And I think this is where I want to reach out to my army of listeners out there. Please help older people who don't have the technology, because you do. If you're listening to this show, then you're technology aware and you have a smartphone and you need to help those around you. Maybe it's older people in your family. Maybe it's an older neighbor. Help them get registered to get vaccinated. And I know some places, if you take an older person, maybe you're not part of that wave to get vaccinated, but because you brought someone, they'll vaccinate you. And I've seen that. So some places are doing that, which I think is great. Great incentive to let's get everybody vaccinated and do everything we can. Now, I know people that are close to me that won't get the vaccine. I need you to really think about this. The only way we're going to get out of this mess is for everybody to get vaccinated. Make sure you help people get vaccinated. Make sure you get vaccinated. It doesn't matter which one. Just glad we don't have the AstraZeneca here, that's a whole other story, what's going on over in Europe. But yes, are there some side effects? Yes. What's the alternative? The alternative could be death. So if I'm going to be sick for 24 hours after the second shot, no problem. I'll take it, Now, I know some people hurt their arm. My arm never hurt. Had no issues with the vaccine one of the Pfizer. So I'm going to get off my soapbox right now, but please do what you can to help people get vaccinated. It's so important. It's the only way we're going to get out of this. I want to go to concerts. I want to spend time with people. I don't want to wear my mask outside, but I have to. Let's work together and get out of this. And this is the only way. So thank you for letting me preach a little bit and describe everything. So, all right. The Windows 10 update issue that I put in Facebook, we are getting hit with more of the problems where the update happened, but the users hadn't had a print for a little bit. And so now, like today, I had to help 3 people that were trying to print, and it would blue screen every time they print. So I had to go in and remove the update because it was already installed. You have to pause updates. Then you remove that KB 5802. KB 5802. You remove that update, and then you reboot, and all is better. Well, eventually we're going to have to turn on updates. So the next link that I am going to have is actually, there's a couple links. One is, and I'm going to put it in the chat and it will be in the show notes, is a great article describing everything about the update and the fix. Doug Betts, who is a longtime listener of the Mike Tech Show and Tech Vets, and Carrie and I talked about him last night on Tech Vets. He has a channel, Live Windows Training, and I am going to link his video on applying the fix that Microsoft released. So that's going to be a great view. Look at that on YouTube if you want to go forward and actually apply the fix and let updates keep coming. Now, as long as you don't turn updates until the second Tuesday of April, the fix will automatically come down. So even if you just stay with the updates paused, when they come off the pause date in April, you will get the fix and you won't have that blue screen of death. So you got two choices. Now, what I'm going to do tomorrow is I'm going to use one of my test systems in Pennsylvania. I'm going to remote in and I'm going to be a guinea pig for that fix and see if that fixes the problem. And that's why I have test systems. So I have one main system in Pennsylvania, one main system here, and then we got two test systems that we beat up. And I can kill them and redo them if I have to. And that's nice. We can test updates and test fixes, my son and I. So it's a great thing to be able to do. And this is a perfect example of applying one of those fixes and testing it before we dare take it to clients. So they're the links for tonight. So now, for the rest of the show, we're going to talk about what I was doing yesterday. So, son number one, and we recruited son number two to help son number one move the computers and networking for a law firm in Center City, Philadelphia. And that was an all-day affair. They had to meet the phone company on site. They had a ton of work. I only got a couple calls when everybody was stuck. They couldn't, I got to describe this. So they move the network, they move everything, and everything looks like it's cabled right, but nobody can get out to the internet. So the phone company that's there with the new voice over IP, they're all baffled. So my Michael Jr. says, I'm going to call my dad. So they call me, and I'm in the middle of helping different clients, which I'll get into. So I get on the phone and I said, did you turn the server on? And the answer was no. The server is what gives out the IP addresses, DHCP. They moved the server, but they hadn't turned it on. They turn on the server, and half of everything works. The other half, as they were describing how the different switches and things were connected, because remember, they're changing things in this move because they were a new phone system, a new PoE switch, and some of this stuff is managed by the phone company. When my son described everything, I said, if I understand what you said, you have created a loop in the network. And that's why half of them aren't working. And that's when the light bulb went off and they removed one of the cables that was going from one of the switches to another, which was redundant, and they really didn't need that. Once they got that all worked, everything was good. And then now it's just hooking up the workstations and getting the copier running and testing, scanning, and things like that. And they had hours and hours of work to do that, but they didn't need me for that. So that was great. Now I could just concentrate on the phone calls coming in. So let's begin with 8 a.m. And I like to wake up at 9, but 8 a.m. I hear the phone buzzing, and I'm on the nightstand, and I'm like, oh, okay. So we pick up the phone, and we look at an email, first a voicemail message, and then an email. And I have trained my clients very well. I received an email with a screenshot of the question, and I love that. We teach our clients that if they have a problem, run snippet and take a picture of that error, snip the error, save it as a graphic, email us. Or if you don't even have the time to do that, maybe there's something big happening on the screen, take your smartphone, take a picture of that error and text us, because that error message goes a long way for us to be able to solve it. So Malwarebytes Premium had quarantined a whole bunch of bad things happening on this user's system, and she didn't know what to do. And I said, just continue and let it quarantine, because Malwarebytes is doing its job. So that was client 1. Now it's Wednesday, and I have routine maintenance of 4 hours that it takes me to review the logs. It's my biggest client in Pennsylvania. And every Wednesday, I do my regular maintenance and work. So I'm doing that. And at the same time, because I have different things running, and at the same time, I now have an 11:30 meeting with a brand new client that was a referral. And this is really the first conference call where it's a couple people. This is a financial advisors in deep northern Jersey, right on the border of New York. And it was actually a referral from one of our clients in New York. We don't have many. I have 2 clients in New York, and this was a referral from one of them. The phone call went great. I closed that business. They are going to be a retainer client. It went phenomenal, the phone call. They want Mike Jr. to come out there on Tuesday. So all day, Michael's going to be tied up doing the assessment. So what he's going to do, and we already scheduled this, and they pay travel. He will drive up there in the morning, and he will use the SIW utility on every workstation. There's 11 workstations and a server. He is going to run that on every system, which it generates a report for me to do the analysis. I want him to take as many pictures as he can of the network closet, getting all the models, getting all how everything's cabled, how's everything laid out, how's the switches, the copiers, get a picture of the make and the model. Then he's going to put unattended remote access instant house call on all of the systems. When he comes back, he'll email me all that info. I will sit and put an assessment together with recommendations of how we should proceed going forward. So once that's all done, then they're going to come under contract where it's going to be online backup, proactive monitoring using our Synchro program, antivirus, anti-ransomware. We got to make sure that they are FINRA compliant. And that's anybody in the financial industry falls under FINRA. Just like in the medical, you fall under HIPAA. FINRA is financial. We are very familiar with that because we have a lot of financial advisors that we support. So they're not sure if they're FINRA compliant, and they want to be. So this is great. Some clients are afraid of that and what it may cost to get compliant. No problem. That was good. So I'm excited about this because this is a great opportunity. So that was 11:30 to 12:30. Now the phone starts really, the messages start coming. One of our clients, again, another retainer client, one of the employees that's working from home, and he has to go to a key vendor's website. This is a new vendor, and this is a big company. He can't get to the site. He's getting an error that he's not allowed to go there. Now, it's interesting that Malwarebytes was not revealing itself that it was blocking it. So usually it does. Like Malwarebytes will come up and say, hey, this is a bad site. You're not allowed to go there. And so unless you exclude it. He was trying to go to HTTPS because that's the secure socket for the site. One of the other employees from their house, they were able to go. They were able to get there. He gave me the website. I got to it with no trouble. But from his computer, every browser, it wouldn't go. So I took and tried to go without the S. And that's when Malwarebytes came up and said no. And the only way you're going to get there is add it as an exclusion. So keep this in mind. If you know it's a safe site and you know you want to get there and you're getting this false positive from your antivirus, anti-malware, whatever running, you need to go into that program and exclude blocking that website. So I went in there, I excluded that, happy, and he went on. Now, 2 years ago, an older gentleman from a retirement community would do websites for a whole bunch of these HOAs in outside Philadelphia in Pennsylvania. And they needed someone to maintain the websites. Little changes like the board meeting or something for that HOA, or maybe there's new pictures for the season. It's old school HTML. It's all very simple, but there's 5 of these HOAs and a golf course. He retired, handed all of them over to me. Now, I am not a web designer, but this is simple maintenance, and I can figure out how to help this. So the golf course is opening up more now, and they needed to update their prices on the website. So I get this list of, the different cart fees, weekend rates, all the rates for within the website. I got to edit these literally in HTML code. So I'm taking care of that. I fixed that. Boom, done. Next client. She can't scan. We had to redo her profile on her system. And all of the shortcuts were not restored when we got everything running. And that's because this one was pinned to the toolbar at the bottom of the screen. This is the HP Smart Scan. So here's what... So she's in a panic because she can't scan. What she didn't realize was, had she looked for HP Smart Scanning, the program, she would have been able to run. But she didn't make that connection and know what the program was, and that's fine. I know. So I was able to remote in, and I pinned the shortcut. Boom, fixed. That's why I said some of these things were simple, but they're taking up time. Now, I get a call from someone, and this was, I guess, a little bit embarrassing because he tells me his name, and I have no idea who it is. I was like, I apologize. I just don't remember who you are. And he's talking about my son doing this and that and everything, all this kind of, and I don't know who he is. But I said, look, that doesn't matter. I'm going to help you. His Outlook would not work for his Yahoo Mail. So the first thing that I wanted to make sure was, is the password correct? And he swore that the password was correct. And you know where we're going here. Of course it wasn't correct. That's why it wasn't logging him in. That's why he wasn't getting his mail. He hadn't opened Outlook for weeks. I said, you must have changed your password. No, I didn't change it. I said, how do you log in via the web? He uses Firefox, but it automatically populates the password. But you get the asterisks, you can't see it. Now, interesting, I went into Firefox's password section and I could not find the Yahoo login. And I'm very surprised because it's saved. But that's okay. I have a program, and that's SIW. And I have that on my website in a private area where I can just download it. I download it, and there's a password option that reveals every password that person has entered to every website that they've ever went to. And it's right there. And I guess the tool can definitely be used for evil and bad purposes, but it's also great for things like this, because I was able to go in and find out what the real password was, and he was shocked. He said, I didn't know it was that. That was really old. I said, let's put that in. Bang. That now works. Okay. So let's keep going here. We got a lot more. So now one of our newer clients that I had told the story, a photographer, that we set up OpenVPN on a Synology device because they had 20 terabytes of photographs that they were manipulating across multiple external drives, and they are all Macs. Either it's an iMac or MacBook Pro. And I did a show talking about what software and everything, getting that hooked up, a few weeks ago. This user forgot how to connect to the VPN. So I walked her through the icon to click, what to answer, and how to connect to the VPN, and she was good. Next one. This is an electrician, the office, and the office administrator who I deal with, they have to upgrade to the latest version of QuickBooks because they have an important connector that's being upgraded, and they have QuickBooks 2015, which it will not work with that. Now they got another problem. Their server, it's a real server, cannot run the latest version of QuickBooks. So, what's the answer? I recommend, let's get a nice higher-end workstation. So, a Dell Optiplex with 16 gigs of RAM, the latest Core i7, a terabyte PCI VME, solid state drive, so it's nice and fast. And that is ordered because what we're going to do is bypass the server. We're going to have this. I even ordered a 2-port KVM switch, so in the server room they can have just one monitor, one keyboard, one mouse, and be able to switch between them. I'm going to have them purchase the latest QuickBooks 2021. They need a 3-user. We'll get that installed, the database manager on that PC, then get to each of the workstations and install the latest upgrade to QuickBooks. Then we take each file as it loads the first time, and you have to be the administrator account. Then you perform the upgrade of the actual data, because each database now that was saved in QuickBooks 2015 now has to be updated to 2021, and we're going to cross our fingers and hope that that goes well. That is Wednesday. So if you're keeping score here, I've booked my son for all day Tuesday. Wednesday, he's going out to set this system up and help me and be my ears and eyes as he hits the systems, and I just advise on the QuickBooks stuff. I'll take care of the server and take care of the permissions and everything. Okay. Now, the client I mentioned that's going to be moving April 11th, the COO calls me. He's having Outlook issues. It's very interesting. It's taking extra time in the outbox to send. Then he's also, anytime he's touching this email, it gets an error connecting to server and it's waiting. And it takes like 60 seconds or a minute, and then it frees up and that email opens. I know exactly what's going on here. So the minute you see connecting to server, unless there's a real server problem for the email, which, by the way, that was another thing that happened this week along the way, or was it part of last week? You know, the days and nights are running into each other. Microsoft had horrible outages with SharePoint, Office 365. They had some pretty big outages. And one of them was my biggest law firm as a client. They have their case management software that's all in the cloud. Well, that all connects to SharePoint. Game over. They had no access to their client files. And of course, the one attorney calls me at night. He's like, I got a deposition tomorrow. I was able to take care of it. Anyway, it's amazing. And for as big as Microsoft is, they are not having a good month right now with their updates and their outages. It's been pretty bad for Microsoft. They need, and you know what? I'm gonna go off on a tangent here. I can tell them exactly what's wrong. They have poor change control. Anytime bad updates or upgrades are released, that reflects on the internal process of change control. When you're making a change to something, it's got to be documented. It's got to be tested. It's got to be signed off. I know this from the corporate world where I lived for over 30 years. You don't make a change just because you're making the change. You've got to go through a process. I would insist my engineers, where's the backout plan? They have to test the backout plan. They have to, and I think one of the reasons I didn't last in the corporate world, when new senior management took over IT, I'll never forget. I'm in a conference room and I'm one of the few people left in my final year there. And the CIO and the IT director, and that they were talking about rolling out this piece of software to 5,000 users. Now think about this, to 5,000. And I couldn't help myself. I had to. I raised my hand and said, Mike, what's up? I said, has anyone even considered testing this? Mouths opened up and dropped. I got a death stare from the CIO who just really wanted to kill me. But it had to be said. How do you roll out something to an entire company, to a $3 billion company, and not test it? Anyway, so you could see where I was no longer a good fit, because I was not a yes man. Because I would say it like it is, and we'll move on. That's happening within Microsoft. It's got to be. They are not doing their due diligence for the testing. That's why these bad updates are happening. That's why they're having outages. That means they're doing maintenance on systems and making changes, and they're not testing, and they're not putting the work in. And that's what I blame. And I don't know anyone there, and I've never been there, but that I bet you is the root cause. So this Outlook issue, I said, show me the email. I see the email. I'm scrolling down as I remote it in with Instant House Call. I scroll down, and there's this link to a file on Google Drive that wasn't even his. It's the person who sent it. Every time he touched or came by that message in his inbox, it tried to connect. And it was trying to pull access to that file. And that's why he was getting the connecting error. I said, move it into its own folder, get it out of the inbox. Okay, problem one solved. Now, the delay, I found out he wasn't sending it properly. He has 4 different emails, and I said, you're trying to send this from the main company email. You need to go to that inbox and then click. Another problem, every message he gets, and this is just because of the process and the way he works, it goes to a PST file. And the first thing I was thinking, this PST file is very big. And one of the problems, you have to run compact. You right click on the top of the data file, you go to properties, you go to advanced, and sometimes if the file's really big, it'll take time, but we had to compact that PST file. It was just too big, and it hadn't been compacted in a while. And that's some really good advice and maintenance on a big PST file. We took care of that. Now, one more that I didn't put in the list here that happened. So a church down the street ordered 2 systems because they have the pastor has a peer server that they save all the files to, and it's an old system. And we give them a good price. And, I'll never forget this. I'm doing work, and the pastor was shameless. He comes to me and he says, you're going to be rewarded in the afterlife, young man, for your work. And I looked at him and I just said, you'll do anything, won't you? I said, that was shameless. So anyway, we take care of them and we help them. We actually have 3 churches that we help. So maybe down the road there will be some reward for that. I don't know. But anyway, I had to order 2 computers. Now, what's interesting, they're all going to come Saturday, and I'm so glad my wife is back in Pennsylvania, because I called her and told her, I said, there's going to be 3 computers being delivered on Saturday. If you could please bring them in so Mike Jr. on Monday can start configuring them. See, we left Monday open because he's just going to be opening computers and configuring them for the rest of the week. So Tuesday, he's in Northern Jersey. Wednesday, he's at the electrical company. Thursday, he has his B&I because he's now on B&I for me. And then he's got something else in the afternoon, I forget. And now Friday, we're getting confirmation that that's when he'll configure and hook up the systems for the churches. So what does that mean? That means I got to be right here answering the phone for our business, as all the other clients will be calling in for different issues, and I will take care of that. Now, one of the things I'm getting better at is tracking my time better, because sometimes I call, I solve things and I forget to bill for it. So one of the things I've been very good, if we spend 15 minutes or more, that's being billed at a half hour. So if it's under 15 minutes, we don't bill. But if someone's taking advantage of it and they start calling in little increments of, then we'll say, look, I'm going to send you an invoice for an hour to make up for all the different little phone calls that they had. But people don't take advantage of that. I've been very, very lucky that my clients are, very, very good. I don't, some clients I have to chase down, and I give them a little slack during the pandemic now. But we've been knock wood. It's been fairly good. So I'm gonna read some chats here. Hold on. This is Aspire. We used to call those change control challenged cowboy shops. Oh, I like that. I had the same thoughts. Their explanation is they are still working on procedural changes as the exact same thing happened before. Yeah, exactly. I know. I'm tired of hearing the same excuse over and over. These companies, we got to hold them to a higher standard. We're paying a fortune to use their software. and to run that. They, you know, they got to step up and be worthy of what we're paying for everything. Now, Dexter in the chat, let me suggest, did your support benefit customer not 15-minute rule? Benefit customer not 15-minute rule. Did you? Let's see. Yes, the person for the smart scan, the person for the Malwarebytes quarantine, that was a freebie. The person with the Yahoo login, that took some time. That's a half hour billable. The person with the VPN, that wasn't billable. Everybody else was billable either a half hour, an hour, or more. And of course, my regular maintenance with my biggest client. So that was a nice day. Plus, my two sons each had 8 hours, billable to the client. So that was nice. And on our invoice, we don't, and I really should put those 15 minutes at a zero fee, or just put the support call at zero to show that we are doing that. I am my own enemy. When I do stuff and I'm generous, I don't tout it enough to the client. And that's something I got to get better at, because you need time. And let me tell you, that takes up so much time, just even doing the invoicing and doing the time. At least now I'm making time to record my time. So anyway, that is it for tonight's show. If you buy from Amazon, stop. Before you put the items in the cart, come to MikeNation.net. Take a look at the show notes. To support the show, click on that Amazon link. Then add those items to your cart. Carrie Holzman and I share an affiliate link that we split. And when you check out and purchase that, a small commission comes back to support us. Your price stays the same. Why not help us out? You're helping tech vets. You're helping Carrie with the videos. You're helping me with the Mike Tech Show. This is the greatest way you can show your support. Use our Amazon link. And we thank you from the bottom of our hearts for using that link. We really appreciate it. It adds up. It makes a difference. Also, make sure, and you know what? I didn't even put that up there. But anyway, Amazon, check out our link. And then Fabs Auto Backup 7 Pro. My son's going to be using that for the systems for the church. They have existing systems. So he's going to run Fabs and transfer the settings and the data and get it from the old system to the new systems we're installing. That's going to be perfect. And then don't forget Instant House Call. I think I mentioned them throughout the whole day. I couldn't run my business as I do from Florida without Instant House Call. It's the only way I can connect to all my clients and support them and help them. It's what we use for our day-to-day work, and especially now when I'm not on site. My son occasionally, yes, he's going on site, but you need a reliable, secure remote access, and that's it. It's Instant House Call. I don't talk about it unless I passionately consume and use the product myself, and I love it. That's it. See everybody back here next week. Same time, same channel. Bye-bye.